Let's head to the voicemail of Truth and Reason.
Hi, this is Ron from Cleveland, lifetime Browns fan, 1963. Love you guys' show. Just wanted to comment about the Browns state right now. I think it's pretty apparent right now that we don't really have a prayer of getting to the playoffs, and I think that's due in part to our general manager's inability to define the positions we need help with, as he went into this last season knowing how bad we needed wide receivers and especially how bad we needed a defensive line, and that's came back to bite him. He goes out and gets Amari Cooper, great pickup, but hey, we needed more than one. And when it comes down to the defensive line, I don't have to say a word because we've been rode hard all year long. Everybody just runs the ball, and if we do start stopping people, then our defensive backs are always out or out of position, one of the two. So I think the Browns really need to step back, take a look at the state of things, and make the necessary adjustments, or we're going to be seeing the same kind of results next year. That is, unless Deshaun Watson can put up 50 points a game. Thanks a lot. As always, go Browns, Wolf.
Appreciate all the voicemails. Quincy, I think fans Browns can't come out and say that they weren't going all in for this season based on the number of veterans you have and the guys that you signed. I think when they found out, the length of the suspension, it kind of changed the way they were thinking about this year.
Well, when they decided to move on from Baker Mayfield was when this whole thing really started becoming about the next few years instead of next year, right? Because with Baker Mayfield, when there was a belief by some that he could have been a franchise quarterback, the strategy was this year, right? This year, right now. We're going to be good as we can this year, right now. And you can see that in their defensive line moves, right? They signed Malik Jackson. They signed these one-year deals at this position to kind of plug those holes. Then this year, they trade for Deshaun Watson. They know that, hey, regardless, if we're going to trade for Deshaun Watson, that's going to be a year-plus kind of move because we're kind of doing that for the future because we know he's going to get suspended at some point, right? Even before the 11 or 6 or whatever game came out, we know he's going to get suspended. So a portion of the season might not go the way you expect, and that's probably why they didn't make the same signings that they usually do at defensive tackle to make those duct tape solutions, right? Like, it's not rocket science to tell that the win-loss record this year without Deshaun Watson was not really what Stefanski's going to be evaluated on. Now, as far as the caller's point about what Andrew Berry could have done, I think the argument shouldn't be, hey, he didn't do anything with free agency. I think the argument should be, why didn't he draft better at these positions? What's going on at the defensive line position when it comes to the draft evaluation of these positions that we can't get productive players because we have spent 3 draft picks on defensive tackles and they have not been productive. The free agency thing, like, I get why they don't want to spend big money on a defensive tackle, but you have to hit in the draft if that's going to be your strategy. And Jordan Elliott, Tommy Togiai, Perrion Winfrey, none of those guys have been impact players by any stretch of the imagination this year. So that's a huge hit on Andrew Berry, but he does have a lot of swings and a lot of hits too when it comes to this because you mentioned the wide receiving core. I'm not disappointed with what they're getting out of receiving. You have 2 guys on track to being 1,000-yard wide receivers, David Njoku, who he re-signed in the offseason, which was not a no-brainer thing, really blossomed this year. He made some really good decisions on that side of the ball offensively. The question has to be asked, what's going on with some of these defensive evaluations on the line of scrimmage to why they are so off? Is it because of the advice you're getting from the defensive staff? Is it not being helpful? Is it what you're looking for? Is it the process? That's what they have to ask themselves, because the reason they're in this hole is because the players that they drafted for the last couple of years to be defensive tackles have not worked out like they have at every other position that they have drafted, right? Like, they have done a good job of drafting and replacing talent on this team, except for that position. They have to ask themselves, why is that the case?
Yeah. The JOK looks like a hit at the linebacker core. You've had some swings and misses there, but the defensive tackle position in particular has been a problem drafting.